The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
This is Patty Hunter, Patty's Page. Welcome to my show. My co-host today is Mr. Terry Doran, and our special guest on Zoom is Madeline Phuong. How are you? How's everybody? Yay.
Great. How are you, Patty and Terry?
Patty, Terry, what's that?
Doing okay, Madeline. You look great.
Thank you.
TV cameras
So
like you.
be able to talk to you.
What's in the background, kiddo? You have a white background?
Yes.
Oh, we should get that. Anyways, we're going to ask some questions about how everybody is since River Drums. What was the most exciting thing? Now, River Drums was June the 6th at the Promenade Park, downtown Fort Wayne. Now, what happened with you being there, Madeline?
So Terry and I were discussing ways to create a public art project for River Drums, and we decided on a collaborative painting. So I created a nature-y, abstract background that people could add on top of and create their own meaning when they looked at it. So at River Drums, I had my own table set up where people came over, they added handprints, words, names, symbols, whatever they wanted in order to add their own piece and their own self to this painting.
I added my hand to it.
It was beautiful, too.
Thank
How long
you.
did it take for you to make that mural?
Well, beforehand, not including the collaborative piece to it during River Drums, probably about 4 to 5 hours.
So these are trunks with branches coming up.
Right. Yes. Silhouettes of a forest.
Well, you also had to go to an art shop and get materials, right?
Yes, I did as
And then
well.
you had to create it, and you had to have the vision, and it turned out, as I said, beautifully. And we recently, last month, went to the mayor's office, Tom Henry Mayor, and presented it to him and his staff, and it will be on permanent display. I am so proud to say, at a Citizen Square downtown, I think on the 3rd floor.
Second or third?
So anybody that wants to go see it and they got business, well, you don't have to have business. You can just go in there and look at it whenever Citizen Square is open. But a lot of people, I think, pay bills there and have business there. So be sure to look for it.
It's beautiful. I loved it. With all the little hands and big hands and all that sort of stuff of people just saying, this is my Fort Wayne. I'm part of it. And I'm glad, Madeline, that you have painted this mural for the community itself and being given it to the mayor's office.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me do that. It was so much fun, and it's a really great place for it to be since it is a great representation of Fort Wayne.
Yes, it is. And it's in a unique place because it's not a place where there's a lot of other artworks that are displayed. So I like that aspect of it, too. And what you just said, it's a part of Fort Wayne, definitely Citizen Square. Everybody knows what it is and where it is, I think. So, again, thank you, Madeline. It turned out, I knew it was going to be great. Anything you do is, but it was even better than I thought it would be. So thank you for doing that. We've been trying to get Madeline to do artwork, and it just didn't work out with the schedule. She'd be on vacation, and we have to do shows in June, and that's a vacation. And so anyway, it worked out this year. And you just graduated from Homestead High School. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
And you're headed to where?
Harvard. Oh,
Harvard. All right.
And what are we taking?
Well, congratulations on that. So,
thank you. I'm super
and I want to
excited.
thank you. I want to thank you before we move on for the wonderful presentation you gave me from Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation. It said I'm an educator of distinction. Boy, I love that. So thank you for that. Madeline presented it to me when it came from Coca-Cola. And I helped Madeline by writing a letter to get her a scholarship, Coca-Cola scholarship. So we're kind of a team.
Terry used to be
English. Thank you, Madeline.
You're so welcome. As soon as they let me know I could nominate an educator of distinction, I knew who it would be.
Oh, thank you. I was so touched by that, as you could see when you gave it to me. So thank you.
He
thank
was
you.
tickled
What are your plans at Harvard? Sorry, I didn't see you.
Right
what are
now,
you going to study?
Studying history and studio art.
Studio art.
Studio art? Well, you have a wide range of choices. You want for artwork. We're going to see some of that artwork. And you won awards for speaking, for design. You wrote a beautiful article in your Homestead magazine called The Art of Diversity about river drums. So you're multi-talented, and you choose whatever you want, basically. But that sounds exciting. We wish you well.
Thank you.
I hope you'll stay in touch.
I definitely will.
I have big plans for Unusual River Drums next year, and I want to make sure you can be there. So you will be coming back to Fort Wayne at summer break, I hope.
Yes, I plan to.
For a while away. Pardon?
I plan to come back for summer break, yes.
All right.
You're cutting in and out.
We can email. You can tell me when you'll be here and all. I want to make sure you be part of it because it's about teaching, and it's inspired by your award you presented me. So
okay,
I really hope you can be there. I want you to be there. Okay. So anyway, Patty, what do you have? What do you want to ask the young lady?
I interviewed Madeline several years ago. What have you been up to since? What artwork, new artwork, and why the change from one type of style to another genre? Do you have some pictures there?
Absolutely. I'll be sharing some pictures. Just like what Terry was talking about, I started out painting a lot of nature and animals primarily. And this is actually what I've been working on this past year. It is through an high school art class sponsored by the college board. So here,
Is that computerized or is that somewhat oil?
Yes, so you can see it all right here. I did, let's see, 8 pieces in total. And this was the first piece that I did during last summer, actually. And I first created a collage from magazines. So this was a very different process than I normally do, which is working directly from a photo. And it was a lot more creative throughout the whole thing. So first I created a collage from magazines and I photoshopped that. Then using that as a reference, I painted this onto a 2 by 3 foot canvas. And it was a combination of the kind of traditional painting process that I typically did with something more creative in the reference.
What's the genre of this picture, the drawing of the lady?
The genre, I was inspired by surrealism. and I was looking at a lot of surrealist artists and their styles and the usual combination of inanimate objects with animate objects and animals and humans. So I combined a lot of different elements in this one. So I kind of tried to put little hidden things in here, such as the skull replacing her shoe, or
Yeah,
kind of
right.
this ghostish figure of the fish in the fridge and transitioning the fridge door that's open here to the smoke from the cigarette. So just playing around with a lot more of abstract elements than I typically did. And you can
Um,
see also my explanation of my process here. And this right here is the paper collage that I initially did before I edited it on my computer in a
oh, your
digital
computer is good.
process. Mhm. And then you can see the process of the painting as it comes along as well. So
Comes
these two,
alive.
and that's the final.
Are you planning on doing animation for cartoons?
I am not. I'm planning on studying the studio arts, so that's a lot more of the typical media that you think of when you hear the fine arts. So that includes painting, drawing, ceramics, etc. I'm
Sculptures?
sculptures as well. Yes. And then this isn't a final piece, but this is some research I did on collage artists in order to learn more about the media before I created my references for the rest of the portfolio.
So you got pictures of something you had done when I first, wow. Hello.
Yes, this is another one of my pieces within this portfolio, and it is a 1 foot by 16-inch piece where I focused a lot more on creating smooth and more vibrant colors. And you'll notice that most of these pieces have very dominant um, primary color palettes. And I tried to play around with that and create also some contrasting pieces to that. And here, obviously, is an example of that red, blue, yellow kind of theme within the work.
Any of your artwork in galleries?
So I submitted this whole portfolio of six of the pieces to the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition last year, which would have actually been the 2023 competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I received a gold key and as a portfolio artist for competition. And then
Wow. Congratulations, girl.
Yeah,
thank you.
congratulations.
You have a lot
Matt,
of,
is there an artist that inspired you, influenced you more, or several artists? I mean, the famous ones, Van Gogh, Monet, or somebody else, maybe locally?
For the surrealist piece, I focused a lot on the artist Vladimir Kush, who's a contemporary surrealist, and I saw his work in a gallery one time, and I was really inspired and influenced by that. Locally, there's a professor called Tim Parsley, who I really like his use of layering, his use of history to add deeper meaning, and his style as well. So while you can't necessarily see that influence in this portfolio, I really admire him as an artist. But you can look back here.
it's good to have your own technique. No one else
Absolutely.
is copying, you
And
know.
see a lot of the collage artists that I did research.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that includes Hannah Hope. Let's see here.
Fascinating.
Ben Giles,
Yeah.
Richard Hamilton,
Mm.
Hugh Grimes. Martha Rossler, who actually does a lot more political work and is a pretty prominent photo collagist.
Wow.
John Dezacker, Raquel Van Haver, Romare Bearden, and Woojin Shin. And Woojin Shin, he was kind of the initial inspiration for the whole collage then painting process
Oh, yeah.
because he was one of the professors that I've had teach me during a summer art program. And this specific one was at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And I did an oil painting class, and he ended up being the graduate student who was the teacher for that. And it was one of the prompts that he gave us. So it really kind of was the touch point for my whole portfolio.
It was an honor, you mean, to be taught by him.
Yes.
So the beautiful paintings that you had started out with, basically there were oil.
Well, this one was actually acrylic paint, but so it's a mixture of acrylic and oil paint, and then I also incorporated mixed media as well. So this is one of acrylic paint, but I can show you
the baby,
the mixed media as well.
I like that.
When did you discover your love of painting, of creating art at a young age? And did you just like always like to draw, or about when did that start in your life?
It was definitely at a young age, because in my elementary school, I was lucky to have an art classes that we would go to, and I would always really enjoy that. I've always loved being creative. Anytime we did a school project, I would try to make it look as nice as possible, add colors and patterns, and play around with different forms of handwriting and typography. So that was something I've always been into. And then when I was a little bit older, my parents noticed that interest and enrolled me in some watercolor classes as well. And that's where I started my particular love for painting. So I went from watercolor to acrylic, oil, and then I just started expanding my explorations of media as I went to high school and at summer art programs. So
you matured over the years, learning more stuff, different ways of doing it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this is one of the examples of me incorporating different media into my work. So here is the initial collage. And then you can see that although the rest of this painting is 2D, it's acrylic oil paint. Right here, I included some clay sculptures where I adhered it to the painting to add more dimension to it. So this is the clay initially before I painted it, and then this is after I painted it and adhered it. Yes, so this was pulling from a lot of Grecian and Roman sculptures and mythology. So here and here are the two pieces. You can see there's a lot deeper of shadows from the reflected light when I took the piece. And that's just one of the examples of the mixed media that I've been playing around with.
And you're still doing greeting cards, and how are you selling these new type of artwork? The usual way or what?
Currently, these pieces I've shown you are not for sale just because they're the originals and I'm still quite attached to them. But my other greeting cards I am still selling on my Etsy shop, which is a Second Chance FW. So if you go to Etsy.com and you just search up my shop name, then it'll come up.
This one that you're working on right now, how big is it? The petrified.
Right here is 24 inches by 30 inches, so a little bit smaller than that initial piece I showed you, but it also has quite a bit of depth to it because of the clay relief portraits.
Are you selling any of the artwork you're doing now? Any of them? Or just holding to them? I mean is...
I do not have any prints of these works, so I am not selling any of the more recent artwork, and the originals are not currently for sale. However, I am selling pieces that have similar styles, and I'm also selling that first piece that I showed you here.
A pig?
On my Etsy shop.
Oh, that one. Oh, girl, where does this money go to again?
All the proceeds go to local animal nonprofits and clinics like Humane Fort Wayne and Fort Wayne Animal Care and Control.
Cool. Got a question or two for her, Ter? Ter?
Well, you have one of your artworks, an unusual one, out in the community. So it's kind of like your gallery, the community, the Citizen Square. The bench, where is that? The bench that you painted for Subaru. Is that at
The
Subaru?
Yes, it's currently at the Subaru dealership in Fort Wayne. So you can see it right in the display room.
Yeah,
Oh, in the display room.
Yes.
Well, they moved it.
yeah, that's great.
Hmm. Any other of your artworks around the city?
As of right now, it's the one in Citizen Square and the bench at the dealership.
Mhm.
Last year in spring, I actually did have that botanical conservatory art show, the solo art show that you both came to,
Mhm.
and that was a community display, but it lasted about 3 months, so it's no longer there.
Would you go
Right,
back?
but it was your showing. It was the showing of Madeline's art. Yeah, and they were
Yes, a
in
lot of
frames and hanging all over the walls of the room. So it was beautiful. Glad we got to go.
Do
When
you?
you
yes.
do a piece, do you find that maybe what you start out with an idea grows into something else, or something you weren't really planning, but just as you got into the creative process, it changed a bit?
Yes, I think that initial first piece, the lighting up that I showed you, started out that way because it was so new. I didn't really have much of an idea where it would go. So it was a lot of finding out what was happening as it was happening. And that inspired all my later pieces just because it was such a new process.
And you have.
I think that's an exciting part of the process too, when you kind of discover that new that you weren't really planning on. That's great.
Yes, exactly.
And you are doing also working with weave, wool or rope or what?
Yes, I do fiber arts as well. I haven't done any recent pieces, but I've explored wool felting and quilting. So both are really amazing practices. And for one of the quilting pieces I made, it featured a red macaw, and I had done a silk painting of the red macaw and a branch by
Wow.
hand and incorporated that into a quilt. And I submitted it to a Scholastic art competition, and through that, the Fort Wayne Museum of Art actually bought it and now has it displayed. That's one of the other pieces I have around the community that I just now remembered, has it displayed in their museum for educational purposes.
I
So
saw
if you go there, you can see it in the children's like interactive area.
Where do you
Wow,
where do you
great.
see where do you see yourself in the future? Good.
In the
You
future, I'm planning on going to law school, but I still do want to incorporate my love for the arts into that, whether that's on the side or by starting a new business or being involved in some organization that teaches art. I just want to continue to stay involved. So, I
teach
particularly
me.
am interested, yes, absolutely. I'm particularly interested in humanitarian law, international law, human rights law. And I think the art can really play a big role in helping tell those stories in those fields.
There.
That's a combination for you to use your art and study law, become a lawyer. I think it's fair to say we could use some good lawyers, and I know you're a great one. Anything else you'd like to say?
What would you like to say to my audience, Madeline, before we sign off?
I would just like to thank you both for having me again on the show. I'm sad that we couldn't do it in person, but I hope that I can make River Drums next year and continue to stay in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, we would love that.
So
We
what
we
we're
should
gonna
say
do?
too. We haven't talked about your other talents, but wrote a lot of articles for their Homestead magazine as well. So she's multi-talented.
We'll have you on again, Madeline, because we're just about finish our half hour.
All right. Sounds
So,
good.
Thank you, Terry, for being my co-host.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Madeline.
Have a great trip.
Yeah. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. That's a lot. Anyways, enjoy. This is Patty Hunter. We'll see you next week. And thank you, Madeline and co-host Terry Doran, for coming on to my show. Catch you later.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always and for the rest of all our lives.